Okay, so we are going to work on 11.2, which is titled What We Mean by an Equation of a Line. So we have this graphic here, and it says that line J is shown in the coordinate plane. And then there's a couple of questions, so we're going to go over these questions together to make sure we all kind of understand what's happening here. So the first question asks, what are the coordinates of B and D? So let's start with B first. So we're going to make a capital B and go ahead and open our parentheses. Now remember that it's always going to be labeled X, comma, Y. So let's find out what our X is. So B is right here. So our X is going to be 4. So let's go ahead and put the 4 in there and add a comma. This is the proper way to write this. If you don't put in the parentheses, it's technically not correct. Let's look at what our Y is. So our Y is going to be 3. We're going to put a 3 there and close our parentheses. Now for D, again, we're going to put capital letter D, and we're going to figure out what the X is. So go down, and that's an 8. And then our Y is going to the Y-axis, which is 6. So that's the answer to the first one. Pretty straightforward, right? Now, we're going to look here. It says for the second one is point 20, 15 on line J. Explain how you know. So what we have to look at here is if you were to find, 2015? So your X is 20, your Y is 15. Can't really see that on here, but we can look at our slope and determine based off of our X and our Y, right, whether this would be on here. So what I'm going to look at here is my rise, which is up 1, up 2, up 3 over my run, which is 3 over 4. Okay, and I am going to type this in here just so you guys can kind of follow my train of thought. So 3 over 4 is our slope. Equals 3 over 4. Now, remember, I just said that this was based off of my Y. So for this one, because we are starting here at the origin, my Y, which is 3, over my X. This is another way to think of it. So I'm going to put that in parentheses for you guys as well, just so we kind of are keeping that on here. Okay. Now this right here is, our point is 20, 15. So that means my X is 20 and my Y is 15. So 15 over 20. Now, if we were to simplify 15 over 20 and keep it in fractions, right, we could divide both numbers by 5. If we divided both numbers by 5, you would get 3 over 4. Now, another option is you could take a calculator and go 15 divided by 20, which equals 0.75, and then 3 divided by 4, which also equals 0.75. So because of this, I'm going to put that my answer is yes, it is on the line because the slopes are the same. The slopes are the same. Now for this next question, we have is point, and this is the same process, okay? Is point 100, 75 on line J. Explain how you know. Same thing, our slope is still, if we're using the Y over X, slope is still Y over X. So the slope that we know is 3 over 4. We're trying to decide now if 75 over 100 is on that line. So same thing. Same rule applies here. So you can do 75 divided by 100, which equals 0.75, or you could simplify it, and they are equivalent. So 75 over 100 does equal 3 over 4, and that is our reasoning as well. Because the slopes are the same. Now for the next question, we're going to do the exact same thing. So our slope still is going to be Y over X, which we know already is 3 over 4. Now we have to determine if 68 over 90 is equivalent, and it is not equivalent. So does not equal 3 over 4. Therefore, 0.90, 68 is not on the line because it does not have the same slope. So we now get to this last question here. It says, suppose you know the X and Y coordinates of a point, write a rule that would allow you to test whether a point is on line J. So we're making a very specific rule. So what I'm going to put is that the quotient, right, meaning we're going to divide, of the y coordinate and x coordinate has to be 3/4. It has to, which also means it has to be 0.75. So that would be just a general rule. Okay, so when we're talking about the equation of a line, we're talking kind of about the rule of that line.